Hey, Rob here for Quadratec.com. Today we're checking out the Rugged Ridge AmFib Snorkel, available to fit both the 2018 and newer Jeep Wrangler JL, as well as the 2020 and newer Jeep Gladiator JT. Now, before we get into the review, as well as the install of the AmFib Snorkel, if you guys like watching these videos, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so you're sure to catch this, as well as plenty more from us here at Quadratec. Now, Rugged Ridge designed the AmFib Snorkel to install easily, perform better, and be less invasive than most other snorkels out on the market. They also did a great job at designing the AmFib Snorkel to look right at home on the exterior of our Wrangler or our Gladiator by picking up on a lot of the design cues from the factory. You can see here a lot of the shape on the exterior of our snorkel here picks up on cues from the Rubicon font on the hood, and they mimic the same grille pattern found on the fender vents, the grille, and even the cowl here on the side and on the ram air inlet. Now, all that blends together to create a look that really could have been there right from the factory. It also does not interfere with our antenna, and it doesn't require any modification or cutting to any of our exterior body panels. Only requires some very minor modifications underneath a hood of your Wrangler, which we're going to walk you through in our installation in just a few minutes. Now, because it's using the factory airbox, that means it's compatible with both the 2-liter and the 3.6-liter engine options. And because you're using that factory airbox, you still have options like adding a performance air filter into your factory airbox that will be compatible with your Rugged Ridge AmFib Snorkel. Now, a lot of you out there may be wondering about the benefits you can get by adding a snorkel to your vehicle, and the first thing that comes to mind for most is the ability to ford deeper water crossings. And while yes, that can potentially be true with a snorkel, there are still a lot of other things that you need to be aware of before you go and start driving through deep water, like raising your air filter and vents for other components and functions in your vehicle, like your axle vents, your transfer case and transmission vent tubes, as well as the electrical components in your vehicle. So while yes, you do have the ability to go through some deeper water for the air intake, you need to be aware of those other systems in your vehicle as well. Now, some of the other benefits that you can get by installing a snorkel, because we're now moving the air inlet out from under the hood to the exterior of our vehicle, that means we're pulling in colder, denser air for our engine. When that air intake is under the hood, we're going to be pulling in that warm air that's collected under the hood of our Wrangler. By moving that outside, we can see dramatic temperature differences between that factory air inlet and the external air inlet that a snorkel provides. Now, in addition to that, we're also moving our air inlet higher up on the vehicle. Now, if you find yourself on a dirty, dusty road, or maybe in a group headed down a trail and they're kicking up a lot of dust and dirt in front of you, by moving that air inlet higher, it's putting it up into a cleaner air pocket, which could help prolong the life of your air filter by keeping some of that dust and dirt from ever even getting into the intake system. Now, one of the things that you might have noticed when installing this upper ram air inlet here is that these slots on the side of the inlet that allow you to tighten your hose clamp around the ram onto the upper portion of our snorkel here are slightly higher than the snorkel itself when it's installed. And those are actually there to allow some water to escape from the ram filter that's being ingested if you're driving through a heavy rainy condition. As the water hits the back of the filter, it's going to run down, collect on the sides, and drain out the sides, helping to prevent that water from making its way down through the system and ending up in the airbox. Now, if you're going to find yourself driving on very dusty and dirty roads or trails, you can even go as far as purchasing the optional Rugged Ridge XHD pre-filter that installs on top of the high mount snorkel, and that's going to help separate the dust and the dirt from the air before it has a chance to make its way down through your intake system. Now, if you don't have the need for the full height of the high mount snorkel, or if you simply want to change up the look of your Rugged Ridge AmFib Snorkel system, well, that's as easy as swapping out 4 fasteners, and we can remove this entire upper portion of the high mount snorkel, instead swapping into place the low cowl mount inlet. So as you can see, it only takes a matter of seconds to go from that high mount snorkel down to the low cowl mount snorkel. That still gives us all the benefits of drawing in colder, denser air from outside of the vehicle, but gives us a great sleek and streamlined look without that high mount snorkel in place. In fact, the full installation of the Rugged Ridge AmFib Snorkel is almost just as easy, and I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Start by removing the antenna with a 7/16 wrench. Next, remove the 4 T40 Torx bolts on the cowl and remove the cowl panel. Moving under the hood, using a panel tool, pry away the foam block. Next, use a utility knife or a Dremel to carefully trim the plastic on the cowl to make room for the new intake duct. Using an 8mm socket, loosen the 4 bolts securing the airbox lid and the hose clamp so that you can remove the lid to the airbox, remove the filter, and using a 10mm socket, remove the 1 bolt so that you can remove the airbox entirely. Using a panel tool, remove the clips holding the grill to the radiator support and pull on the bottom of the grill to remove the grill. Using a T30 Torx bit, remove the 2 screws securing the support brace on the core support. Using a T20 Torx bit, remove the 2 screws holding the inlet air duct in place, then remove the air duct completely. Now we can re-secure the core support bracket using the existing T30 Torx bolt that we just removed. Next, we can install the new AmFib cowl duct assembly by setting it in place on the cowl. Using a step bit, drill a hole in the bottom of the airbox to allow for the installation of a drain fitting. Apply some silicone sealant when installing the drain. We're also going to apply some silicone sealant to the 4 Christmas tree clips and use those to plug the 4 factory drain holes found on the bottom of the airbox. Then install the hose over the new fitting along with 2 hose clamps and install the petcock onto the other end of the hose. Now we can open the valve to allow water to drain out of the airbox, and if we know we're going to be going through deep water, you can reach under the fender well and close off that drain to prevent any water intrusion into your airbox. Under normal circumstances, you want to run with this valve open. Slip the included gasket over the new airbox inlet, paying close attention to the orientation of the gasket. And then we can snap the new inlet into the factory airbox. Pull the 2 mounting grommets off of the bottom of the factory airbox mounting studs and install them into the support in the engine bay. Drop the airbox down into place, carefully routing the drain tube into the passenger side fender well. Push the airbox to seat it into the 2 mounting grommets. Reinstall the air filter and reinstall the airbox lid, securing it with the 4 8mm screws and the hose clamp securing it to the inlet tube. Then we can secure the airbox to the fender using the factory 10mm bolt. Next, we'll install the air inlet tube between the factory airbox inlet and the cowl air duct. Position the tube with the notch facing the front of the vehicle and down. By spraying some soapy water onto the air duct and inside the silicone sleeve, it'll make installing them a little bit easier. Install the short sleeve towards the front of the vehicle on the shorter end and the longer sleeve towards the rear of the vehicle on the longer side of the inlet tube. Slip 2 hose clamps over each end to secure the silicone hose to the intake tube. Tighten them down with an 8mm nut driver. Finally, we can reinstall the 4 T40 factory fasteners to hold the new AmFib cowl intake in place. Peel the backing paper and secure the included gasket to the underside of the high mount snorkel inlet cover. Install the gasket on the back side and drop the molded gasket onto the top. Install the bumper to the back side of the high mount snorkel. Set the high mount snorkel in place and secure it with the 4 included fasteners, tightening them down with a 4mm Allen key. Slip the black hose clamp over the top of the high mount intake tube and set the ram air inlet on top, securing it with an 8mm nut driver. And it's just that easy to get the Rugged Ridge AmFib Snorkel installed in your 2018 or newer Jeep Wrangler JL or your 2020 and newer Jeep Gladiator JT. If you guys want to pick up one for your Jeep, you can click that info button to head over to Quadratec.com. Of course, if you have any comments or questions about the snorkel system or the installation process, you can always leave those for us in the comment section below or contact us directly at any of the options on the screen. Till next time, I'm Rob. I'll see you guys out on the trail.